With this image fresh in our minds, let's go to the main page.xaml and begin to recreate that. The very first thing that we need to do is to create a stack layout that will hold all of the rest of the controls. Let's give that some padding to keep it away from the top and also from the sides. And inside our stack layout, we're going to put a second stack layout whose orientation will be horizontal because we want to put some of these controls side by side. That is the prompt and then the actual value. So we start with a label that will represent the prompt. We're going to say that the text in the label is latitude. We're going to ask the user to enter the latitude, and we'll set the width that we would like that label to occupy, which will help us with alignment. Having created the prompt, we're now going to add an entry so that the user can enter data. We'll give that a name, which is generally a good idea with anything you might end up referring to in code. We'll call this one lat, and then we're going to put the width request here, and that's going to be at 150. Now we can take that same arrangement of an oriented stack layout with a label and an entry and duplicate it and hit Control I to reorganize this so that it's easier to read. And now we just go in and change latitude to longitude, and we change on the entry the name to be appropriate for longitude. We don't want to use LONG, that's a reserved term, so we'll use LON. And in fact, we're going to capitalize those, as we'll need the name to be capitalized later on. With that in place, we can go to the next, and here, after those horizontal layouts, we're going to put a button. Let's give the button a name, and we're going to have it handle the clicked event in a handler called onClicked. Let's set the width request, in this case to 75. The button will say search. The text color for the button is going to be white because we're going to give that button a background color of blue. That takes care of the top part of our form where we're gathering the longitude and latitude and clicking a button. Below that, we're going to want to put the return information, the information that we get back from the web service. So we'll create another stack layout whose orientation is horizontal. And once again, we're going to have a prompt and a value. This time, the value will come from the web service. So the first prompt will be location, and we're going to set the text color for all of our prompts to green, and we're going to set the width that we would like so that our prompts and their answers line up. The value for the location will be held in a second label, but this time the text will not be hardwired. Instead, we're going to bind to a value returned from the web service. So location is returned in a property station name. And that, of course, will be in the JSON. It'll be our job to get it out of the JSON and into something we can bind to. Let's copy and paste that prompt and result. And this time we're going to change location to elevation, and we're going to bind to the value elevation. Notice we left the text color in the width request, and let's reorganize that by hitting Control I, and we can go ahead now and copy the same set of data and change the text this time to temperature. And of course we'll bind to the temperature value that we get out of the JSON. The next value is humidity, and so we bind to the humidity value. Reviewing what we have, we've got the top of the form where we gather information, and then we've got the body of the form where we display information. So let's save that.